Hey, hey! Welcome to Sunny and Ratchet, your go-to spot for real talk and real laughs with your two favorite hosts who are spilling the tea, but not the wine.
Skies might be big, but the opinions are bigger. This is where you'll find your weekly dose of drama and magic. Always served hot and slightly chaotic. I'm the one that likes to tell it like I see it.
And I'm the one who finds the silver lining, even if it's duct taped on.
We're just two women from the Midwest, one the ever optimist, and the other a realist, just trying to keep the train on the tracks.
So if you like gossip, world news, unsolicited advice, and good old-fashioned sarcasm, you're in the right spot.
Is this Sunny and Ratchet? Pull up a chair and let's get into it.
Sunny and Ratchet, we're here to chat.
Hey, I'm Sunny.
I'm Ratchet.
We're here today to talk about workplace. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
We'll have the toxic workplaces and those terrible bosses, and we've got stories, and we've got our things that just set us off. So,
Yeah. My husband wanted us to make sure that it's stated in here. People don't quit work. They quit. That was his take. And I agree.
that really is very true. I feel like the workplace culture is often way more important than the job itself. Oh,
Yes.
yes. So,
You trauma bond with your coworker.
you do, but you're like, we gotta get out of here.
All right. So, do you have a story you want to share?
Yes. So when I thought about the absolute worst place that I worked, really school wise, jobs are icky. But I worked at this one school, and my boss and then a lot of people in the workplace. It was so I was a school counselor, right? On and got my master's degree, worked really hard. And somehow I ended up getting put at the front desk all the time to do the secretary's job.
I think I remember this.
Yeah, so that was one thing. So I was a counselor. I was supposed to be able to do IT. It's supposed to be confidential, but they would have me sit at that front desk with a computer and headphone, virtually attending these IEP, which really should have a principal at them. I'd be trying to do that, trying to answer calls, trying to work the like I was doing a secretary's job and I was doing this job
And your job.
in my job.
You had 3 cops.
Oh yes, oh yes. And also at this district, other districts, when you're a principal or a counselor, you make more. You work more days and you get paid for it, right? You work hours and you get paid for it. But at this district, counselors say hours, they're given the same pay. There's no difference in the clock. Yeah. My boss, I need you to stay late. And she would have days where I could not win. And she was always like, she would get angry at me if I was like late, no matter the reason. And I'm talking about like late to duty when she asked me to do something else. It took, and I was like walking to do, not like late into work.
Boss much.
Yes. And she would call me. But then she would call me and tell me, I need you to cover for me for this reason. And it was like personal reason. And it didn't matter the time of day. She would text and call. And yeah. And she also, I've never had a boss insist that we need to be friends on Facebook, but she wanted me to be friends with her on Facebook because she had some resources she wanted to send and whatever. And I did it at first, really realizing the person she would be. But then it was also during COVID. So she would be like watching my feed and accusatory if I went and saw people and what my choices were. You know,
Oh my gosh. I think this
outside
is
of
like
work hours.
outside of a toxic box. I think this is kind of like, I'm surprised you don't have Stockholm syndrome.
I do kind of have that. I have these things now that because of that, they're really not okay. I do not want a boss to contact me outside of work hours unless it's like an emergency that if a student is having an emergency and I need to reach out to that family or whatever, fine. Do not ask me about duty. Do not ask me about anything that should just be handled during the workday. Do not. And I don't like being friends. After that I was really careful who I was friends with on Facebook. So like I didn't even add any friends except for one person, my favorite person, Mahogany Mom. I added her right away, but everybody else I was like a year before. I was like, I have to see what kind of person you are. I saw a meme that I thought was relatable because it said when a coworker asks to be their friend on Facebook, and it said, "First, I need to see you steal something before you're back."
I both got to get in trouble here.
Right. I don't know. I don't want it to seem like I was doing anything crazy. It wasn't. It was like if I was around any other people and I didn't have a face mask on in a picture, it was like,
I've never had that type of a toxic boss. And I'm sorry that you and anybody else had to deal with her. That's both
crazy.
I did have a boss who required me to post on my social media every day, and I had to make everything public. My socials had to be public because that's what doing, selling stuff, insurance and stuff. But I didn't have a problem with it, except for when I didn't like somebody having to tell me what I have to do to keep a job.
Yeah.
And it started off as I had to.
I'm sorry about that boss. I might start reading about that boss. She was no bueno.
But the most toxic boss I had is when my first husband and I, we separated. We were here in Oklahoma with children. And I had been a stay-at-home mom since I've been with him. I was 16. I'd had like maybe 2 jobs. So when I was out there and I was trying to get a job, I finally found one, and it was a telemarketing job. It wasn't horrible or nothing, but he asked me if I could start today, and I was like, no, I have to get daycare situated. And he's like, I guess you don't want the job then. No. Okay. And I should have known right then that this wasn't going to work.
Right. That's not reasonable. If they're making unreasonable requests right off the bat, they're seeing keeping you.
Yeah. And it didn't last long. It was like, I went ahead and I was like, okay. And I called my mother who I was staying with, and I called my ex's mother, who happened to be in Virginia then, and figured that out and get her taken care of. So I sat my butt down and started making phone calls. But it was nonstop. He was just I felt like he kept that job over my head. Mm-hmm. If you don't do this, then you don't want your job. If I can't get you to perform to this level right now, you don't need this job. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, maybe that works for some people, but that doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'm just like, you're right. I don't want this job. That was the most toxic boss I think I've had. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it was just.
Oh man, I watched this show, Love After Lockup. I was just having a conversation with a coworker the other day about trash TV. So this is like the trash TV that I love. I didn't go into it willingly, like Mr. Sunny. He just really loves trash TV. And people watching, and sometimes I'm like, oh, that hurts my soul too much. But anyway, watching Love After Lockup, and there was this guy who was a felon, and he did have serious issue with confrontation. Like, he needed to get his life together in a way. But he had put on his only good clothes. He was looking for his first job out of jail, and a friend connected him with a contractor who was also an ex-felon, thinking this might be a good opportunity for him. And the guy wanted him to show that he knew what to do right then and there on the spot by using a paint sprayer and stuff. He's like, man, I would, but like, these are my only nice clothes. I don't know. And the guy was like, he's like, well, you messed up. You could have sprayed this and gotten a job and then bought yourself a new pair of shoes with your next paycheck. And Mr. Sonny was like, he's probably really testing. You know, a lot of people are going to have problems with confrontation because the villain didn't get mad with cussing out and fuck you and keep your damn job and stuff like that. He doesn't handle confrontation well. But I was like, okay, maybe he was figuring it out because I don't think that he can handle conflict. But also, I was like, that feels disrespectful.
That was disrespectful.
Yeah, no matter who the person was. Like,
If I'm telling you, like, I came here prepared to look nice, this is all I got. Spray paint.
right, like
That's
yes, that would have ruined his outfit. It would, like, you can't get that out. You know, I was like, feel like he dodged a bullet.
which brings me to another topic: the quiet quitting.
Mhm.
Like, when I first heard about this, I wasn't too keen on the idea, but now I'm all for it. I'm all for it. We recently got a new manager, and I remember during our meetings, she said, because I feel like my position is like the redheaded stepchild of the area. Like, we get blamed for everything. We're responsible for everything. This is just my thing. But I'm like, quiet quitting. That's not my job requirement. That wasn't in my contract. And then she's like, but it's stated right there in your contract as a sign of their duty.
Yeah, they like put those little in poles.
But yeah, I'm going to work my wage. You're not paying me enough to go on a lavish vacation. You're not paying me enough to do anything other than survive. I'm working my wage.
That is a thing too. That is really more of a tangent, I think. I was watching a video that was talking about minimum wage and how it has
$66 is what it's supposed to be currently.
well, 66. That is wild. Because I think I thought like, what? But
No, if you take like the way that
maybe that's in Oklahoma.
but if you like the graph of the inflation and everything and the cost of living versus what it was like we make less than the people in the Great Depression were making comparatively.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the thing. And I guess that is something that really, really bothers me because nobody working full time should be in poverty. That doesn't make sense.
Not the American dream.
Well, it's not, you can't say that we're in this capitalist society and the only people that are struggling are the people that aren't willing to work because we've got so many working and trying to support themselves. Or they're
If
just
you
quitting.
and your husband are college graduate, both you and your husband are college graduate. You have a great house, nice cars, but you're still having to budget. You're still having to decide what's important and what. You're a college graduate. And I'm not saying that you should be able to be just like spending willy-nilly and doing all that. I'm just saying
No,
you should
we
be comfortable enough to say, hey, you know what? We're going to go out as a family for dinner.
yeah, like that is that. If I'm being honest, yes, like we've got 4 children, not because we both decided we wanted to have 4 children. I stopped at 1. He has 2, and then we've taken in a foster, which at first she was just with us for a long time, and we were supporting her through having health issues, through like unreal significant car issues, expensive, like yeah, and like housing prices went up, and so we moved in together, and we needed a space enough for our family, and it's been like I can't remember the last time we were able to afford vacation, which maybe that's just an extra people don't. I don't know. But we have to really budget the groceries we buy. We have to budget whether eat or not. To like with to school, I'm having to like pace and save up, and then the next thing I'll be having to pace and save up for is like Christmas and then birthdays and just it's a lot. And I do think that I think I have my master, and I work really hard. Like I do. I go I'm above and beyond and I want to do well. And then it's really, it's really sad that this is where my talents are valued. This is the value they're putting on my job and my husband and I, we're both professionals. I am a teacher and a counselor, and he is a nurse, and we're educating society, saving lives, and we're struggling.
Yeah. I skipped $50,000 with bonuses and debt prepaid. I am sorry. This totally turned into an economic issue. Not.
Yes, it's funny happened for sorry.
No, because I 100% agree with it. No, I didn't go to college. I didn't want to go to college. I think for a little bit, I wanted to be a nurse, but I've done trade school to get to where I'm at because I don't need to know. I don't need to take classes that don't pertain to things that I want to do. That was the reason why I did mine. So toxic bosses are one part of the problem. I think maybe even quiet quitting is part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it really is frustrating. At my school, there are educators that they're just over it. But they're riding the wave, doing what they need to do until they can retire.
We have a mutual friend who's a nurse. She's been a nurse forever. She's over it.
Yeah, a lot of nurses that are over
There's
it.
a lot of nurses that are over it.
In general. And because you think, what's the point? Especially in this capitalist society where it's like, the rich, they're getting richer, and we're just going through that daily grind, and prices are getting higher, but you can't get a reasonable rate.
And then if you want to get political about it, Florida just passed a law where they're resigning about who's actually an employee, meaning that they can now take away overtime, healthcare, benefits, all of that. It's not helping anybody but the rich. It's not helping anybody that owns those corporations.
It's not. And so my son, he's working for a fast food restaurant, which he's decided to take another job and take fully support. But one of the things that we were talking about and comparing with my friend who also has a son working between the two, I was like, don't you have a manager that's really hard to work for? And that's why people quit. And he said, no, it's the owner. And he didn't get paid what he was promised he would. Yeah. So he's really irritated about that. He's made reasonable requests, and they're just like, nope. Yeah. And other places, he said that the food that for whatever reason can't be served, if they made the wrong dish or something like that. He said they're required to throw in the trash because if an employee eats that can't be served, the owner considers it stealing. He would rather go in the trash than feed his employee that are making $10 an hour.
Or even just taking that food home. Like, you don't know. That kid may have siblings, and that single mother is working 3 jobs just to pay bills.
Right.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Was like I watched this dude in Oklahoma, and he has this animal farm rescue thing. He just did a clip on Tractor or something. Anyway, he works for them a couple hours a week just so that he can get a discount on his feed because he like $3,000 a week on his feed for his stuff. But there was a bunch, like a big pallet feed that was about to expire. And he asked if he could take it. And they said no. And he assumed that they were going to give it to someone. But they didn't. They dumped it. So he was like, you guys know that I rescue animals. You guys know how much money I spend here already. And I was okay with you donating that. Somebody else who might need it more. But instead of that, you're just going to dump it. Why do management feel like that's appropriate? Like, I maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. I think it's a power trip. People in power or in managerial position get a little power trip. This is just my take on it. and they just go wild.
Yeah, I don't
Insane.
know. I
Approach
can't
the
relate. Right. There's just a lot. So what are your definite no-nos? Like if you have a boss you are not okay with them doing.
Problem with something that I've done, and you try to bring me in front of my coworkers, I will have issues with that.
Yeah,
And maybe come back tomorrow. Don't disrespect. It's going to cost you more money to try to find somebody else my place.
I had a school principal once, and she came into my classroom while I was teaching. It yelled at me in front of the kids about something, made me go to the office and talk to him. And I went to the person who trained me in full to do the thing how I. And fortunately, she was also a union rep, and she went and she told that boss, she was like, "We can have the union up here right now, and I'd also like an explanation as to why I taught her, and an explanation as to why I yelled at her in front of her children that she's teaching."
I want to hear the conclusion. What happened?
Oh, they backed off right away and apologized. Yeah.
Air trips.
Yeah. It's like, why would you do that? I'm new and being trained, and I did what I was told. No, but even if I hadn't, you'd look at, oh, why would you do that?
And you are a willing teacher for the pay that they pay you. And she was willing to lose you because of her attitude.
Oh, yeah. That was probably the only place I've ever worked where higher ups started coming in because they were investigating her. So, like, she did all kinds of crazy stuff. But, yeah, after I got my training lady and union member on her, so she left me alone.
Another toxic boss I've had in the past, I swear, me and my coworkers thinks that she slept her ways with. She knew absolutely nothing. If you are in a management position, you should definitely know how the job is. And you don't deserve that management position. Straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I come to you or a coworker comes to you and says, "Hey, I need help with XYZ," and you're like, "Oh, ask a coworker." I'm asking you, because you're my manager. You're supposed to know that.
At least find the answer.
She was so petty. And she had no knowledge of anything that was going on. So we always like, she slept her way there.
My sister had a supervisor, and so my sister likes to say start words with H for no reason. Yeah. And so she had a coworker she would call Liz.
Cute.
And like when I'm texting her or talking to her, I'll do that too. It's like a thing she does, and it's funny. But she, in an email, just with the kind of the group, she had said something and called her Liz. And her supervisor, there's this hateful email telling them that they need to be professional and that they were acting like a bunch of art.
Are you paying me right now? Are you paying me right now? Because if you're not paying me right now, I could act anywhere.
They were on the job, but this woman, you shouldn't call people that name. And you shouldn't, as a supervisor, respond to an action by telling them that they're being retards. Unprofessional. And she held it like maybe she didn't like that they were having a personal joke between them, which to me, uptight.
Jealous, maybe?
Yeah, she wanted them to put an H in front of her name. Then to resort to the name calling and stuff. Like,
and that boss I was telling you about that made me make everything public. My socials all public and everything. Another thing that now looking back at the moment, I was happy, but for the amount of money that I was getting paid, which was nothing, I was working all hours of the day. When clients would call me middle of the night with issues. And you know what I would do? Log into my computer and figure it out. In the middle of vacations, everything. I was always on call.
And you were so awesome at it. Like, she should have fought tooth and nail and given everything. Because,
thank you.
Like, when I became one of your clients, it was the best. And I know that I'm not the only one who felt that way. It was amazing.
I did like working with the people and my clients and stuff. and building those relationships. I did enjoy it.
Mhm. You were good at that. Thank you.
So I don't know. I feel like this is definitely a tiered issue,
Mhm.
100%. I'm not saying that my way is the right way at all because it's brand new to me. This quiet quitting. I work what I need to work when I need to work it. I will do my job to the best of my ability. I will make sure that all the T's and I's are dotted and crossed.
Mhm.
But if you're expecting me to go above and beyond and do more, unless you've got the actual money to show me, it's not happening. That's my mindset now.
I kind of go back and forth, especially because the line of work I'm in. If I'm not giving 110%, it's the kids that suffer.
Yeah.
And so when those are the stake there,
That's a hard
yeah,
call.
yeah, like I've had to, and my husband has talked about this, about just really, you really do have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others.
Yeah.
That I am so bad
You are.
about
100%.
wanting to take care of others first, to the point that I burn myself out.
If your well is empty, you have nothing to pour anybody else.
Yes. So to me, if you've got a quiet quit, because like I can't afford to just quit a job. I have a family and they count on me, and I'm never just gonna walk out.
I would never quit once I have another job. Stupid.
Right.
But and I'm not saying I dislike my job. I actually really enjoy my job. I love the fact that I get to work from home. I love the fact that my patients I get to talk to and I'm building those relationships with them. But some things I'm obstinate about.
I think we all have
obstinate
those
about.
things.
Like
I think
we were
we do.
still in office at the end of the days. We had to go through and clean up all the clinic's trash. I'm like, you didn't hire me to be a janitor. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Right. I would think you would at least just have to clean it to yourself.
Yeah,
Never
so
swear. Oh,
because those doctors and their staff like to put like their old coffee cups into the recycling bins, and then you expect somebody else to pick it up. Grow the fuck up.
yeah, that's a no. That is a
I did. I was like, the first time I saw that, I was like, nope. And I put it right into their queue or their little area. Which doctors need it? Put it right there. I was like, I'm not the janitor. I'm not your maid, and I ain't your mama.
something I go over with my students a lot, because we have janitors and then we have kids that think that super trashy and throw their food and all that kind of. They're like, we have a janitor, and I can't tell you how many times I've lectured them that they're not there to pick up the stuff they can take their two hands
You
and
also
throw
have
away.
a mother. Do you want me to call her?
No, but I'm like, their job is to sanitize the building. That's their job.
That's
their
their job.
job is not to pick up you what you're capable of taking care of yourself. Exactly.
It's responsible, especially with kids. So you're a teacher. Maybe you can like tell me I'm a little off here or not. I feel like I'm an old woman saying this. These kids these days, they're so disrespectful. And I just want to pop them in their mouths and take them back home to their parents and be like, fix this out. Fix it. Make it better.
You know what? Often the case, there's some kids that we're having issues with, and we contact the parent. Usually nothing changes, but most often when we contact parents, they are shocked that that's how their kids are acting outside of their watch.
Really? And it's
Yeah.
just like okay.
Yeah,
I can
so
see
like
that too.
without their mom and dad watching, they're testing and they're testing things and
Try me.
Yes,
Try me.
right.
God, I
So,
go to jail. Don't try me.
but yeah, no, it's kid a lot of times not. So that's one of the reasons for me. I'm always super relieved when I hear, even if my kids being a mess at home, if they're respecting others outside, that makes me feel good. Because I'm like, we can go round and round. Don't you dare disrespect other people.
Yeah. I used to tell my kids all the time, if you can't listen to me at home, I'm definitely not taking you out in public. So I think that was also me just being scared. I'm not a big social person. I don't know. Toxic bosses again. Hello. Stop being toxic. Maybe we should just say that. You were in your subordinate's shoes at some point, hopefully. Remember that.
Right, right. Yeah, even if there is an issue, like, even if you mess up on the job, how it's handled makes a huge difference.
100%. Like, I'm poor. Telling me how I messed up and how I need to do it appropriately. Tell me.
Yeah.
Please teach me the right way to do it, because I don't want to make this mistake.
Yeah, I can absolutely take constructive feedback. I cannot take being humiliated or disrespected.
Yeah, don't belittle me in front of the people I have.
Mhm.
Yeah, don't do that. We're going to have words and they're probably not coming back.
That's right.
Oh my goodness gracious. I will say, though, that I am happy again in my job. I don't know if anybody watches, but I am happy. I do like my job.
My job.
You're really good at your job.
All right, so I have had frustrations, and usually my frustration is trying to get my time in too, because I want to get out there and get in with my students. Everybody wants to get their time in with the kids, and so sometimes there's like these restrictions and stuff. Everybody's working. Ha 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 ha. Okay. Really, it's not so bad. Definitely a lot better than my job before.
So
Yeah.
if you could tell your toxic boss one thing, constructive criticism, one thing, if you could tell your boss one thing to learn from what you experienced so that their current employees would do, what would be one thing?
Can I go with I have no interest in ever talking to her? It says I don't. Like, she can figure it out herself. I'm done. I am done. Yeah, she was so disrespectful. I am done.
You shouldn't be.
Basically, I'm like, honestly, at some point, you know, if a person is willing to listen and learn, she is. I'm not interested in working with that. Yeah, wasting my time. So peace out.
I don't know. I don't have any huge qualms. I think the job I had after my separation and stuff, I probably would go back and tell that man, "This is how you want somebody to treat your kid. I mean, your dog, like when she's desperate, trying to get on her feet." Not saying that I deserved any special treatment, but just know that I had children that I had to find care for to work for you.
Yeah, be empathetic and reasonable. Have you ever had issues in the workplace where someone has treated you differently because you're a woman?
No. And most of my jobs have always been, I think, in that field anyway. So,
I one time, this wasn't a boss, but I made a complaint to the boss, and I'm not so sure that anything ever happened, but I worked really hard and I got a promotion. And then I was training another employee. Like, I had been at this place, my total span of time was about 3 years. I moved up pretty quickly. We moved, so I had to quit. But there was someone who'd been there for 20 years in the same position. And I was there trying to do him a favor and train him. But I applied for that job. They, like, I guess they were looking for a woman. Like, yeah. Yeah. I was like, or I'm good at my job and I wanted to move up. Right. Do you not see that I'm literally teaching you how to do your job that you've done 20 years?
we know it.
Like, wow, that is so not okay.
Dude. Yeah, try again next time. Good luck. I don't know.
Let's see in the future, because these sure didn't replace me when I left.
Oh my gosh. I haven't come across that. I know I've had a couple friends who about feeling like they weren't good enough, or they were looking, they didn't, because they were a woman, they were against. I've never personally had that experience.
My mom and my grandma both have.
A different generation.
It is a different generation. even when I was a teenager, my mom was working as an accountant, and there was a guy there, and the boss was old school, and he would throw a fit about it and stuff, and so he would more because he's a man. Explode.
My nose exploded. That's I was like, oh no, you're gonna explode.
Right, right. Or my grandma. I know it's a different time.
Mhm.
I know it's a different.
Which is still sad that it was happening in the first place. But hopefully, at least for me and my experiences, I haven't had to deal with it.
I am glad I work in a workplace where my pay is not based on my gender. So,
Well, this has been an enlightening topic. I don't. So to toxic bosses, fuck you. Quiet quitters. We may be wrong, may be right. I don't know yet. Let's just enjoy this life that we have. 'Cause it is limited. Gotta be happy at work, because I don't want to bring that stuff home.
yeah. That's another topic.
Oh my gosh, we could literally do this all night long and come
We
up with
could.
like 10 episodes.
Right, right. We could. We could. But we're not gonna.
Not this time. So,
Like and subscribe.
subscribe and comment. Tell us your stories. Email us. Ratchet. gmail.com. Cheers. Here's to shouting into the void.